So can you kind of talk about this new security system that you guys are implementing and how it works to ensure safety for staff and children here?
Absolutely. So we have partnered with the Sheriff's Office and Mutual Link, and what Mutual Link is it's a program or a solution that takes voice, video, and our communications, and it links everything together to where if there is some sort of an emergency or some sort of unfortunate event, that we have immediate communication, and our first responders have the immediate capability to look in at our cameras and get real-time, first-hand information for that response.
And previous to this, what was the security system kind of like? What's like the biggest difference that you guys are seeing with this new one?
Yeah, so having closed circuit television or videos in-house, video cameras in-house is something that Whitehouse ISD has already had, and most school districts do. But again, that doesn't do you a whole lot of good when you're trying to deal with something right now. And as we know, in any type of emergency, seconds matter. Not talking minutes, we're not talking hours, we're talking seconds matter. And our responders and the partnerships and the stakeholders that are in our community, they realize that as well. And the relationship that we have with them, the cooperation with them in these processes and in our responses, in our protocols and prevention methods and all of our mitigation methods, being able to see real time what's going on and those just reducing those seconds to resolve whatever emergency situation is going on.
So why did you guys, what was the biggest factor in why you guys decided to get this pretty advanced system here at White House?
Sure, absolutely. So one of the first things we looked at was the ability to notify responders and notify our staff, notify our students when there's an emergency, right? But then the next piece is one of the most important pieces, is command and control or communication. And if you don't have communication, you don't have that real-time information. So we were looking for a solution to that problem, right? We can notify, we can say, hey, there's something going on. Now, how do we get that communication? How do we get that piece? And how do we relay that information to our first responders, to our law enforcement, to our firefighters, to our EMS, who are all very important stakeholders. And this Mutual Link, we partnered with the Sheriff's Office, who was looking at Mutual Link. We looked at that with them, and it was just the perfect solution to solve all of those issues that we were facing.
Yeah, and as we know, this costs money to be put in. How much did it cost the school district, I guess, to do it, and how is it being paid? Yeah,
so the implementation process of that is still ongoing, and it's still in the works. One of the things that we are really waiting on right now is for legislation. As we know that they're back in session right now. School funding is a huge thing, and we're really waiting on some safety and security, right? We have all of these things that districts are trying to do, Whitehouse ISD is doing to keep our staff and our students safe, which is our ultimate priority, and it's responsible for the responsibility of everyone here, and that's one of the things that we definitely, but needing those funds is what we're really waiting for the state and for our legislators to release that, so to give us those funds and for these mandates and for these other things to really keep our students safe. As you know, the school system is not necessarily in the business of safety and security, right? It's something that comes along with it because we're trying to create a safe and caring environment so that our students can learn and our staff can teach the students the best that they can.
Do you think you guys will be an innovator of other schools to follow with this type of system here in East Texas?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think to start on that, one of the best things that we have going for us here is our relationship with our stakeholders and with our first responders. And when you have that relationship, the ideas and the solutions that you come up with and that you can find usually lead the way for others to follow. We work very well with everyone around here. We work very well with our partners at Region 7. And we have a safety advisory council that meets every quarter, and we take ideas like this that we're implementing and we take back to them, and we pass that information on, and we show what we've learned out of these issues and creating these solutions.
How do you think parents around the area are going to feel about this type of system? Do you think they're going to feel much more secure with their children here at school?
The feedback we've gotten so far is anytime that we're implementing something on the positive, look, it's all about explaining that to our stakeholders, our parents, our students, our staff, and once they understand what we're trying to do and what that looks like, everyone is usually always on board with that.
Yeah, and what would you want other school districts to know just from this kind of beginning phase? I know you guys haven't really had to implement a real situation here, but just from all the practices that you guys have done, all around, what do you think the biggest takeaway that you would want other districts to know?
Just the ability for our first responders to know exactly what's going on when it's going on, and to have that communication piece. There's so many other things that this system does, and so many other solutions that it solves. And one of the big things that we're working on right now with other districts in the area is how do we communicate when there's something going on in the area, right? We know that we hear things all the time of there's threats in the Smith County area, but we don't know which school, right? And you have things like Mutual Link that if multiple districts had that, then we could all communicate together on a certain group that's secured. We all know what's going on, and we're keeping all of our students safe. Nobody's prematurely going into lockdowns, which we know we try to mitigate that as much as possible because we don't want to traumatize our students by unnecessary actions. So we want to vet our information. We want to communicate with all of our other agency districts around, agencies, first responders, and make sure that we're making the best decisions in any kind of link or any kind of application such as this. Just helps that.
So today we saw 3 kids in a hallway down. So you talk about eyes and ears on the situation. How does that help when it comes to response?
Being able to figure out where, right? We have some very large campuses across our district, across multiple districts, right? They all have large campuses, and not knowing where, as a first responder, which I spent over 20 years as a first responder, going to a large facility and not knowing where a specific incident is takes so much time. And we talked about earlier, seconds count. And having that ability to know exactly where they are, the communication with people already on the ground, being able to take live video with the application, you can go straight to wherever that emergency is and take those seconds away, which those 2 seconds, those 3 seconds may be the difference between life or death.
Is this going to be implemented at all the Whitehouse campuses or just this one?
So currently we're piloting with 2 of our campuses, but the plan is for implementation district-wide.
Thank you.
And sorry, I just have one more question. Have you spoken to any other school districts, maybe not even in Texas, just that have had success with this security system?
We have not. I have not specifically. I have spoken with several other districts and regions that are very interested in coming on board and participating in an application like this to solve solutions, just like we talked about a while ago, and there's a lot of interest in that.
Yeah, one more question too. I know sometimes, a lot of times, around here something will go on, and so you kind of have to do a soft log down or a secure log out, basically.
Sure.
How does this system help that as well? Does it have any implements on that, or is it mostly just focused on the inside if something actually would occur inside?
Yeah, so it's really focused on, there's so many different ways to use this application, so many solutions that it solves, but it's really focused on when there's an actual emergency, when you vetted out that information and there's an actual emergency where we're needing first responders to respond and we're needing to relay that information in real time.
Because they've mapped out your schools in advance.
Correct.
So they've already got the floor plan, and that's advanced work that goes into this.
Absolutely. So once an activation, once we create an activation and they get that event, that gives them the access immediately to the floor plans, exactly where those cameras are, and then we have people on the ground such as myself, our campus staff or our principals, there'll be a select few that can give them real-time live information to help them even guide more into exactly where the emergency situation is occurring at.
And how many cameras, like I know it's pretty much all over the school, right, and all the floors. So every little inch is going to be covered for
That's correct.
where a student might be.
That's correct.